All right, let's do it live on a Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. Merely Bo, the great Z. Hey, where were we on the over-under departure? What did we set? Didn't we set?
We pretty much had it spot on.
You guys remember that
yeah,
flight?
We said 12:30 local takeoff, which it was, and we got home at 7:30, which is what we said.
What you said.
It was pretty. We were like within
Right
5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was 12:45 local or Eastern time or local time.
When we actually, I'm saying when we
so
started
that's
moving.
3:45.
Yeah.
3:45 here time.
Dude, I heard the one pilot's like, once we get through the Rockies, it'll catapult us. It'll shot put us across the country.
Yeah.
And I could look at the United map. You could look and see.
Yeah.
And I was awake because A, I don't fit in any of the seats, and B, trying to get comfortable in any of those seats was not an option.
Well, you would have been welcome to recline your chair into my
but
area.
I would
was
never
leaning
do
back
that. I knew
sleeping.
you were behind me, and I was not going to recline.
Now's the one time that you're like worried about his well-being.
Yeah.
Is
No,
on
give
a
me a
red-eye
break.
flight.
That would be anybody. That would be anybody on a plane. I do not recline my seat because
I think in a red-eye situation, man's got to sleep.
It was.
You gotta do what you got to do, brother.
I wasn't going to sleep anyways.
I did. Slept like a babe. It could have gone better for me. I woke up and it said we had 15 minutes left.
So you guys got in 7:30 local.
Yep.
So it's 4 hours, not even really.
At one
if you go
point,
straight through.
I popped up the map and we were doing 586 miles per hour. I was like, yeah, all right.
Like eastern Montana into the Dakotas.
Exactly.
Yeah, good tailwind. Let's go.
Just come right off the Rockies.
And that's what he said. We're going to go. And we were going.
Anytime we fly.
Where
from
did you
west
hear?
to
Did he
east.
say that over the loudspeaker?
No, I heard
it,
him. I had to get some stuff, some additional gear
Okay.
off another bus, and I was walking by, and he was underneath the plane
I didn't
doing a
hear any of
walkthrough. He's
that.
like,
But
we're going to be home in like 4.
I had convinced myself. I said, look, you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
I started sleeping the second I got on the bus. And then all of a sudden we were at the airport, and I'm like, all right.
let's
And I
do it.
I kind of tried to not open my eyes at all as soon as I got down there.
I love that strategy.
You just don't open
keep
your
them
eyes.
closed. Yeah.
Yeah. No light, nothing, no phone.
Yeah.
And then I got on my seat.
Little recline and away you go.
And it's not even a recline, to be fair. It's like they've taken you like a think about like a modern lazy boy now. When you can set it up near the wall and recline, but it doesn't touch the wall because it's just to get the recline. It's sliding your butt forward more than it is your back. Right, your butt doesn't stay still.
Yeah.
So like it's actually not really even a recline.
No, probably not.
You change your spine angle, but you do not actually impact the person behind you, irregardless of what accusations they may levy against
Whatever may be said. I don't think that they really even try to make those comfortable to sleep in
They are
anymore.
not at all.
And I don't think they're comfortable to sit on. It's probably the least comfortable seat that you could have. I'm trying to think in the history of my life if I sat in anything less comfortable than like
an airplane
than
seat?
a standard airplane seat.
No.
The chairs in that studio prior to the ones you're in now.
No.
Those were bad. Those were bad. Those were bad. I think airline might be worse though. Even be worse because there's no lumbar.
No.
At all.
No.
So they force you to, because they got to get all the space.
Those things are broken in.
They are. Yeah, it's bad. Bad job. But I'm sure they're maximizing profits. Well, what did you guys take? I got to tell you, it was surreal to have it was week 0 in college football. Oddly enough, all of the teams that were playing like on the relatively major networks I had connection to. So Florida State played at noon. I covered those guys for years, so I watched that game. Montana State played at 3:30, knocked off New Mexico. They were down 31-14 in the fourth, and then won it in walk-off fashion, 34-31 down at New Mexico. And then SMU, who I just love because of how well they cheated in the 80s and eventually got caught. They're my guys. They played at night at like 7:30. So I didn't watch any of them in their entirety, but watched a lot of them throughout the day doing football, and then had something at the club on Saturday night. But I kind of was keeping my eye on it the whole time. So we get home, and it's like 9:45, and I'm like, oh, my God, those guys haven't even started yet. I was thinking of you guys. I'm like, my God, I've had a full day, and I'm thinking you guys haven't even started. You haven't even kicked this damn game off.
Yeah, that's
so I
right.
watched for a little, and then, it was abundantly clear that our primary guys weren't going to go. And so once that was done, that was good for me just because of how late it was. But it was a damn entertaining game, probably the most entertaining preseason game we had. It just was played in an absurd time. as we try to navigate what exactly preseason football is in 2024.
Agreed on the time. It was a great game. 70 points were scored. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
37-33 final. Like, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And the crowd there was phenomenal. They treated it like it was a regular season game of consequence. I mean, they were loud on 3rd and 4th down. They were into it late. They had a wave at one point that went for 10 minutes that allowed me to tell Chris Rose that. I wonder, he said, was the wave invented in Seattle? And I don't know the answer to that.
Because Friday night at the baseball game, the wave was
They're
pretty
still doing
impressive. Yeah, they did.
So it must
I
be
refuse.
something. And I said,
the wave
well,
is for soccer.
I don't know if that's
Nothing
true
more.
or not, but what I do know is that as a young man,
Yeah.
my father, and I told the story in the broadcast, my father was in a Stratomatic football league with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And they would do home and away games were played like at the person's house.
Yeah.
And I would go with my dad on away games, and obviously was there for home games, and I had a little mini record player, and this is like vinyl, but the little ones.
Yeah.
And with the big fat middle.
Yeah, the 45s or whatever they were called.
Yeah. So we had a song that was called the Seahawks Wave. So whenever the Seahawks scored, I had like a little Seattle jersey, and I would play that and dance around, and people would go nuts. But it was the chorus was the Seahawk Wave is on a roll. The tide's coming in. The Hawks are going to win. So they had like a song, but it was said the Seahawks Wave. So I don't know if that's linked to the wave at all.
So my hunch would be, without doing any sort of research or looking up, the combination of you having that song and Chris Rose, who's got kind of a steel trap memory, thinking that
even
perhaps
intimating
they
that it was
did,
possible.
leads me to believe
The
that
good news
perhaps
is we
they
could
did.
get this answered in 1 second on the internet, but
It's fun not to.
We choose not to.
Yeah, it's fun not to. Someone said that what they call that is like, those are like, hey, let's have a bar conversation. So like you can't have access to your phone.
You just got to talk it out.
And you just talk it out.
Like the good old days.
Yeah, like the good old days. Like just when somebody like Pedro would thrive.
Yeah.
Without Google, you'd thrive.
Oh, my God. Well, because he was unopposed. He was so formidable.
So formidable. So it was a fun game. Really cool. I'm thrilled that the atmosphere was there because that helps when you're calling a game to have that atmosphere. In terms of, I mean, this is cut down day. Up until tomorrow at 4 o'clock is when it all has to be done. We'll get into some of the specifics in terms of our health stuff in a second, but just in terms of going back to Saturday, was there anybody who you watched Saturday and went, I like their chances better now? Or do you think that most of the decisions were made?
I think it was probably mostly set. I would say maybe the one guy that really solidified his spot was probably Jamari Thrash. But I thought he was going to make it.
We thought he was in, yeah.
Anyway. And we should do it. I don't know if that's in the rundown, but we definitely should go through and try to put together what we think the initial 53 would look like. And I think we can definitely.
Some conversation in the 2 o'clock hour, I believe 2:30-ish.
Perfect.
We talk a little bit about it.
That would be one. Beyond that, I don't know much. I will tell you the thing that I was most unhappy about in that game was what I thought was the garbage ejection of Winston Reed. I cannot tell you how much that upsets me. Number one, upon replay.
So for our audience who maybe was not up watching at that point, including your
it was early in the game.
I missed it. I don't have any recollection.
What?
I saw the first series, and then I'm like,
that was it?
That was it. All I needed.
Oh, you
I
missed a
didn't
lot of fun commentary.
I'm sure I
Rose
did.
and I had a great time.
Again, I love you.
You missed
I love you
DTR's
both.
bomb to Jamari?
Dude, I'd been up since 7. I'd coached football games. I'm done. I was zapped. Go ahead.
So there's a bang play over the middle of the
right.
field. They're trying to throw a pass to a receiver in the middle of the field. I believe it was Aesop Winston, who spent 2 weeks with us in 2022 in training camp. And Reed was playing Mike linebacker, kind of settled down his zone, and he bang goes in there, hits him. It looked like a vicious hit.
All right.
Dislodges the
About
football.
an hour into the game, so probably second quarter.
Maybe early second quarter.
second
Oh, yeah,
quarter.
it definitely wasn't. No.
Are you trying to Google it so you can see it? Winston Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winston Reed.
That part I do know. I wanted to see if we have a video of it. There's a lot of him from back in the day. All right, continue.
So he rocks the guy. They throw a flag. Now, we watched the replay. It was not helmet to helmet. In fact, he got his head outside of the guy's frame. His helmet, he never in contact with him. He hit it with his left shoulder pad into the guy's shoulder pad chest area.
Okay.
So it was a clean hit. So then they go and throw the penalty, and I was like, even after I saw the flag, and by the way, I thought the officiating was, I don't know about what in your booth, Gibbe, if you guys felt the same, but I thought the officiating was dreadful. We benefited from 2, I thought, absurd roughing the passer penalties.
Yeah, I don't know if it was as bad as the week before.
That was pretty bad.
But there were moments. The problem was they'd make a call, and then they were clearly trying to make up for the bad call.
I see.
By going extreme the other direction. Would I be wrong in saying that?
No, yes, absolutely.
And that was on both sides.
Like trying to play catch up.
You were like, whoa, What is that? Like, that's a little over the top.
Definitely. So, anyway, it's this bang play, and then they come back, and they throw him out. And when you watched it back, he did not hit him with his helmet. There was no helmet to helmet. There was no spearing, targeting. His head is to the side of him. He basically shoulder patted him and like elbowed the guy as he went to hit him, like maybe up near his ear hole, and that was it. And they threw him out of this game. This is a guy
that's so hard in the preseason, man.
Right.
Like
it was a bang play, and it wasn't a dangerous play.
No.
The guy didn't even get knocked out of the game.
No.
Because he hit him with his shoulder pad and didn't hit him in the head. And they throw him out. And this is a guy who was fighting to maybe make this roster, fighting at the very least to be on the practice squad. And I don't think the Browns will hold it against him, but I thought it was total BS.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like to see that.
Well,
I think I said on the broadcast, I said this is garbage. This is outrageous. It's unfair to this young man.
Like, again, how many of these guys that were playing at that point are going to be on the roster by tomorrow at 4 o'clock? Probably not many. This guy's trying to at least put film out so someone else can take a look at him. And he gets run by the refs on a garbage overreaction.
Like a bang, that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. So that you hope, and this is my hunch, just even around the league, just reading around, doing my normal Sunday readings as I tend to do, and just checking up on various things around the league. Like the NFL preseason needs a reexamination.
Yeah,
quite honestly,
yeah.
Nobody knows what to do with it. Everyone treats it kind of differently. My guess is it's still rated probably pretty well because it's the NFL and it rates well. And it's really cool to hear that many people in Seattle were locked into it late into the game. That's awesome that they were able to have kind of the suspension of disbelief that they were watching people who won't play on either one of those teams, but because they were wearing those jerseys, they were still locked in. That's a hell of a job out of a crowd to be like that. But the product's tough. And
yes,
you have to have and that not just us, everybody. And I think that you have to say, if you're the NFL, people pay a premium for this product. Are we delivering a premium to that customer? And the answer to me in preseason is emphatically no, you're not. And I think this past weekend was kind of the pinnacle of it.
Yes. It was tough. Fortunately for us, it was a wildly entertaining game.
You guys had your best game. It was the
for
best,
sure.
the most fun game that you had the whole run of it.
For sure.
And I'm guessing that the crowd probably helped you guys stay engaged to it. I mean, it's close, but because they were into it, then you're into it. I mean, it's infectious.
And they were so into it. It was actually
which is really cool.
A ton of fun. Yeah, it really was. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah,
it was what the preseason should be. Like, if you were the Browns, and what did you want to come to? You want to see, Cedric Tillman looked great. Jamari Thrash looked great. DTR made one of the better throws, actually two of the better throws, one that ended up being incomplete, that I've seen in a long time. The touchdown, to stand in the pocket, deliver that ball 55 yards in the air down the middle of the field and get smoked the way he did was awesome. And then he had another one where he was rolling left, flipped his wrist from about 40 and put it right on Darden's fingertips over a defender who was in perfect position.
Yeah.
It was a big-time throw. And then you wanted, hopefully to get somebody around the league to say, you know what, yeah, sure, I'll give you a seventh so that I can be sure Huntley joins my team. And he had 3 touchdowns, threw the ball well. It was, from that standpoint, very, very good.
Yeah, I think if you wanted – what the Browns wanted to get out of the preseason, we got out of the joint practices with Minnesota.
Yes.
So if you just find a way to take that, maybe eliminate joint practices, and then you have to use it in a preseason game. Maybe that's something they do. And if it wants it to be situational, almost like a college spring game, then you could do it situational. You could say Browns versus Vikings, second preseason game, first 10 plays, all Browns offense, next 10 plays, all Vikings defense. we'll have some ones versus ones, some situational stuff, and then play a game in the second half. I think the sports consumer is smart enough to be able to handle it, and I think that's a better product than, even if it's not hitting quarterbacks to the ground, it's a better product than what happened this weekend.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
So they need to. I think there's going to have to be an addressing of. They're going to have to address it one way or another. Lots going on from the roster standpoint. Adam Schefter with this: the Browns expected to leave Nick Chubb on the PUP list, which means he's ineligible to be active for the Browns' first 4 games of the season. To the surprise of no one on that, we've alluded to that many times.
Yep.
But indications are Nick looks good. Just going to be a minute. It's a really serious injuries.
Yeah, but I think that he is, as we said, ahead of schedule. I think it's trending well that it's possible you could see, Nick Chubb in October feasibly. I mean, if he's on the PUP, it's not going to be before, the week 5.
Yeah.
But I think that's in play. I think he's done a great job. I would say, going back to the game, and this really ties into Nick Chubb, is the only thing that you didn't like that happened is Deontay Foreman suffered a rib injury, but the good news is not considered serious. He won't practice tomorrow, according to Stefanski, but should be fine.
You're 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's going to be fine.
You got plenty of time.
So you're going to be it's shaping up for this team to actually be healthy for Dallas.
So this is where we're getting to is Stefanski earlier this morning. Conklin, Newsome, DeAnthony Bell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Chief, Pierre Strong, Jordan Hicks, Tony Fields will all practice on Tuesday. Jed Wills coming off the PUP but won't practice Tuesday, but progressing. James Hudson will be back at some point this week. Denzel Ward making good progress. Naheem Hines not ready for practice just yet on that. But the headliner are those first 8 names I mentioned all coming back.
Yeah, well, you're getting everybody off the PUP list. Everybody that you wanted to get back, you will. Conklin and Wills. And Andrew Berry made a little bit of news in our pregame show on News 5 saying basically, he's like, we will be whole on the offensive line for Dallas. So that's very, very good news. Is Jed
How is that defined?
That I think Jed or Jack will be starting at left tackle.
Yeah. I think that would almost have to mean Jed because Jack hasn't played left tackle since Michigan State.
It's 2015.
And he hasn't practiced it at all.
I don't care who it means. As long as it's one of those two,
but
I'm fine.
I'm just trying to,
it would be my guess that
it would be Jed Wills
yes.
because I don't, Jack's been through a lot physically, and you just wonder, can he physically go to the left side? It's one thing to be the swing tackle, and you got to pop in there a few plays, but a full game of it seems
I think
like a
the
tall
answer
task for me.
is yes. But we will see.
Yeah, we'll see on that. So that's where you stand on that. So just to give you guys an idea, and I'm going to lean on both of you for this, in terms of the next couple of weeks, and this kind of goes back to that preseason needs fixing conversation. In the old days, the preseason would have all been over this Thursday.
Yeah,
this would have been the 4th preseason game would have been this Thursday. The whole league would have played this Thursday. Then you would have the cut downs by Sunday, and then you're into a game week.
Yep.
Now you have a team like the Bengals and the Colts who played last Thursday and have gotten a head start on their cuts and all of that stuff. And so then you'll have practice this week and then that respite, go home. Number 1 NFL player return to campus is this weekend because they're all off. So you're going to see, for example, if you go down to the Ohio State-Akron game on Saturday, you're going to see a lot of NFL players on the sideline for a game between Ohio State and a MAC opponent.
Yes.
And that's because they're all off. Is the way that all works. And then next week you get into game week mode. So what is the practice schedule like this week for us?
I guess it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Tuesday afternoon, 3 o'clock. Wednesday afternoon, 3:30. Thursday morning at 11:45.
And that's it.
And then that's it.
So they're cut loose by
they're gone Friday, Saturday,
1 o'clock.
Sunday.
They're gone.
Yeah.
And then are they back Monday?
Yeah, we have practice
Monday.
a week from today.
Yeah. Then you're back.
We will be laboring on Labor Day.
There you go.
Well,
all right, there you go. They will.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be.
You will. You will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gibbe, legend.
Yeah, so that's it. That's your new schedule of this thing. You're going to start to see the roster get trimmed. It could start to happen during the course of the show, but it's not till tomorrow at 4 o'clock that you get that sort of thing. Across the league, almost 1,200 players will be cut before tomorrow
it's a
at
tough
4
time.
o'clock.
It's an exciting time. You get your 54, but it's a very tough time.
The other thing to remember, too, and you alluded to the list last week where you have those guys, the vested veterans, where you cut but not really.
Yeah, the wink, wink, nod, nod, they're coming back.
Yeah, so all of those things are going to happen.
By the way, speaking of cuts, and I saw this from Tom Pelissero, And it will impact the roster a little bit.
Not ours, but it could around the league.
Yeah, important note as teams construct their initial 53-man roster. NFL teams were informed that the NFLPA vetoed the revised emergency third quarterback rule that would have allowed teams to elevate a bona fide QB from the practice squad an unlimited number of times. The rule now reverts back to the 2023 version, which says the emergency third quarterback must be on the 53-man roster, not an elevation.
Okay, why would the NFLPA
why would they screw that up?
Be anti that?
So my guess is because quarterbacks, typically their salaries are what they would be. They want those guys to be getting paid and being on an active roster rather than getting a practice squad salary.
Okay, I guess, but you're also losing a position player that otherwise would be active NFL pay.
That's
which
the only
would
thing
seem
I
like
can
that.
think of, yes.
You're probably
seems
right.
To be okay overlooking that.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. I'm sure that's what it is because that way that keeps their average annual salary is up higher and we're making more money as a unit. But you're also taking a roster spot away.
It's robbing Peter to pay Paul.
It is. Yeah, I like that. I think that was a pretty dang good rule. So a little bit surprised that was it. So that's it. We're done. Training camp's done. Preseason football is done.
Thank God.
This team will be whole against Dallas, or as close to can be whole against Dallas in the opener on Sunday at 4:25. When you look back on training camp, on preseason football, and understanding and acknowledging something we've said all along, that there wasn't a whole lot here. Like you just want to get through it healthy. What are things that jump out for you?
Just in terms of
the roster, what got done in terms of guys who shined. It's tough, right? Because we'll see in Dallas.
My guess is you're going to be able to get away with 2 tight ends. That was a question. Would it be 2 or 3 tight ends on the roster? You're going to be able to get away with 2. I think you're going to be able to get away with 3 running backs on the roster with Nyheim Hines not being healthy enough to go. Getting these tackles back makes it, I think, easier to get away with 9, we'll say, on the O-line.
Yeah.
The situation that's going on with Mike Hall, and if he ends up on the exempt list, that could allow you to get away with 9 on the D-line, and so you're getting a little bit of extra room. We were figuring out how are we going to get 6 linebackers, how are we going to get 6 receivers. Some of these things may have shaken themselves out, and the reality is this team, I don't think there is a surprise make the team on this team.
I don't either.
I think that quarterbacks, and like I said, we'll go through it and we'll go position by position, but maybe there's a pathway if Michael Dunn's not healthy for Javion Cohen, for example, to make this team as an undrafted free agent. They like what they've seen from him. Defensively, Chris Williams was the guy that kind of really outplayed what you thought, and they already traded him. They got a pick for him. There's not a spot in the D-end room. There's not really a spot in the linebacker room because they like Buki Watson a lot, and I imagine they'll keep 6. You're going to have the corner situation, I think, is interesting because I think Halasi makes it, and then Tony Brown's now injured. So is he, and he was not amongst the people they said will be back at practice. Is he too injured to make the roster? And if so, that maybe paves the way for Justin Hardy as just a pure special teams guy, or for Miles Harden. That's probably the one decision that needs to be made, honestly.
Yeah, that's it.
I really think that might be it.
Does it feel like a blink when you guys were headed to the Greenbrier?
No.
Yeah.
Since we started at the Greenbrier?
Yeah.
No, it has not felt like a blink.
So that's the thing that it's one of those things that we talk when you guys are in it and you guys are down at the Greenbrier, and I saw our video guys last week and they all do such great work. When you guys are in it on the front lines like the Greenbrier thing, it feels like probably that was a long haul. When you're not, which I was not, and I think even for some of the fan base, you're like, wait, it's over? We're ready? We're going?
I wish.
I'm not salting the wound. I'm just saying, because you guys had those 2 weeks there,
dude,
because you had the 3 preseason games, because you didn't see the ones in any of them, really, it's kind of like, okay, we're done? All right, let's start the season.
I think the longest part of the month were the games. I actually
Before
did think
this one.
things moved pretty fast. I mean, last week it was that. Oh my goodness, that was 4 weeks ago. We went to the Greenbrier.
Yeah, it was a long time.
But it does. I felt like it moved, The games were brutal.
Games were tough. You guys got a good one to go out on. But
were great. That whole week was great. It moved. There was a lot going on. But then Sunday or Saturday comes in. It's just like, woof.
Yeah. I think the other thing is because we didn't have as many training camp practices as normal, because usually you have a lot more of those, and so that was part of it. But you lost so much of that. So, the highlight was the Viking stuff, was the Viking joint practice stuff. That was really the highlight. And now you wait for a regular season game that is going to be, from a rating standpoint, it's going to be a behemoth. When you think about the Cowboys at 425, with Brady's debut and all the rest of the things that go into it. Yes. You guys were in Seattle for young Brock's last day on the program.
I'm sad. I miss him already.
He's great. It just occurred to me on my way in here. You guys have seen the acclaimed film Boogie Nights?
Yes.
How did we not call him Brock Landers? Why did we not call him Landers?
I don't know. That's a lot.
What an incredible miss by us to not call him Brock Landers. It was sitting there for us.
Didn't want to confuse him with the other Landers we had.
Exactly.
It was just sitting there waiting for us.
Yes.
Sad. Oh, I was so mad. On my
He's
way
going to
in
live his best life. He's only a junior.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
He's got 2 years left.
I know, but I was thinking I had him all summer. I could have called him Landers all summer. It would have been such a great experience.
Landers.
Brock Landers and Chest Rockwell. Hot Topics of the Day, that's what that was. It's presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Coming up next, coaches meeting with the media from earlier this morning. Lots of good stuff in here. We're going to play that for you coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Boost your game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet $50 or more. You get $100 and $50 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Now we head to the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Here is Coach in his meeting with the media from earlier this morning.
Okay, good.
You're down
for us. Just getting prepared for the season. Guys are getting good work in today, and then we'll be out there on the field tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday before we take that mandatory break over the weekend. But again, big week to just get that's a fine. Just big week to get sharp. So for practice, just injury update for practice tomorrow, guys that will be out there: Jack Conklin, DeAnthony Bell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Greg Newsome, David Njoku, Pierre Strong, Jordan Hicks, Tony Fields. Jed is going to come off PUP, will not practice tomorrow, but progressing. Denzel Ward, I don't have an update other than to say he's making good progress. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Hey, Kevin, just off of those, with those injuries, those guys all coming back from injury, how big is that? How much of an emotional boost, as much as anything, is that for this football team? Because all training camp, you guys really have had, it never seemed to have had the whole complement of guys, and it seems like just when you need it, the cavalry's kind of arriving.
Yeah, injuries are part of this game, Chris, and guys have to rehab and have to work really hard to get back, and that's what I've seen all these guys do. So I understand the question, but I would tell you, all these guys are in the building, they're in meetings, so they're around, and they certainly, they're a part of what we've been doing.
Just one follow-up, Dante, any update on how he's doing?
Yeah, he has a rib injury. Won't practice tomorrow, but we'll keep updating you as the week goes.
Kevin, just wondering, with Jed not being ready to practice yet and Jack coming off the list, is Jack a viable option for you at left tackle and he start getting some work there?
Yeah, what I would tell you, Mary Kay, with really all of our positions, we're not going to set a depth chart. We'll just work through all those type of things. I'm excited to get Jack back out there at practicing and going through walkthroughs and that type of thing, but not going to get in specifics per se.
Deshaun, I know, you made the decision not to start him in Seattle, but, kind of summarize his whole progress right now, where you feel like it's coming. What's the biggest thing these next couple of weeks before the Cowboys game you want to see out of Deshaun?
I think with all of our guys, Chris, this week and obviously going into week one, these are great weeks for us to continue to get better, sharpen up what we're doing. Specifically to Deshaun, he's done a nice job. We've really talked about it all off season long into training camp. He rehabbed from an injury, but then he's put himself in position to really do a nice job in practice, learning some couple new concepts. He's grinding in the meeting room to make sure he's on top of everything. So he's a pro, and he's done a really nice job with the work that he's gotten.
Hey, Kevin, we talked to, some of the wide receivers, specifically the South Florida guys that you brought in, Jerry, Elijah, Amari, about how rare this is for them being all from the same area. I'm sure it's kind of a coincidence that, 3 straight off seasons you guys bring in wide receivers from the same area. But I was curious what maybe similar characteristics or qualities or attributes you saw that made, it so appealing to bring those guys in.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're right. And certainly those guys have a bond over that. There's some really good football down there. That's not breaking news. That's why it gets so recruited in college, because there's just great play from down there. I've been fortunate to coach a bunch of different guys at a bunch of different positions. Teddy Bridgewater comes to mind as a guy from South Florida in the Miami area that it's just really good football. So not surprised that so many guys in the league come from there, but also with our room specifically, it's fun to have those guys in there. They can share about a lot of things from their past and growing up and that type of thing. And there's certainly that's a tight group.
2 questions for you, Kevin. And that is, the first one is on Nick Chubb. Obviously, he's going to remain on PUP. So what are your thoughts on just how he looked, when we watched him running around down there at the Greenbrier, and what is the outlook for Chubb going forward?
Yeah, Mary Kay, I get to see him every day. So he's working very, very hard. the outlook for him is a day by day type of thing, and that's kind of how Nick operates, how I operate. So I'll tell you today, I'm watching him. He's working hard. He'll continue to do that. He's a huge part of everything we're doing. He's in every meeting. So no update other than to say, as you guys know, he's working very hard.
And the second question I have is about Mike Hall. Do you expect that he's going to end up on the commissioner's exempt list and that you guys will have to be without him for a while? Is that how you are proceeding?
I don't really have an update on Mike in that regard, Mary Kay. We'll see how it goes.
Kevin, all the guys that you mentioned coming back from that injury, many of them have been out there for a long time with their teammates. And you mentioned guys like Nick Chubb, who have been working hard in the classroom and things like that. How important is this time for those guys that they haven't been out there on the field practicing as they get back into game reps, looking forward to that week 1?
All of it's really important, Cam, just from you have to take the meeting room to the practice field to the game field. So everything that we do to get the team ready for the season is important. And I think those guys understand that. That's why we've talked a lot in this offseason, this training camp, of not wasting any of these days. Even a day like today is super important to get our minds right, to get the bodies right. All these lifts are important. So these guys understand that all of it goes into getting ready for a 17-game season.
And obviously roster cut deadline is right around the corner. What's the message to some of these younger guys who were working really hard to earn a spot on this roster through the preseason, who may or may not make this team?
Yeah, it's a tough time on the calendar, Cam. This is no fun for me as a coach when you got to let guys go. I've told them personally, I've told the team, I'm excited for all those guys. If it's not an opportunity here, I'll be rooting for them wherever it is. These guys have worked so hard going back to April, all the things to ask them to do from a meeting standpoint, practice, what have you. They've really, really worked hard. So I'm a fan of guys that work hard, and unfortunately there's some guys that we can't keep around just from a numbers standpoint, but we're appreciative of the work.
Hey, Kevin, I'm not sure I heard 2 players in the injury list that I want to ask about, Hines and Hudson.
I got you said Hines. What was the second one?
James Hudson.
James will be, I'm sorry, I should have included him. He will be working this week. Naheem will not be practicing just yet.
Is he off PUP or NFI?
I don't believe so, but we'll see over the next couple of days.
Hey, Kevin. I wanted to ask you about, obviously, with the way that you guys use the practice squad and elevate guys, that's the other element of this, obviously, over the next 48 hours or so. How has the last few years and kind of how those rules have changed, after COVID, how has that changed how you guys kind of view building out that practice squad and being able to use those guys on game days?
Yeah, it's a really good point, because it does change things. It changes the numbers. It changes how you think about it, because those elevations are really, really important. And you have to make sure that you spread them out throughout the year as well. But the size of that practice squad is so different than what it was in the past. So I know different teams, us included, are really utilizing that in a bunch of different areas where maybe you wouldn't be able to carry as many guys as you could in the past. And then you get to bring them up to game day. So that's definitely a conversation that we're having already, looking at week 1. Who are those elevations off that practice squad?
After having, an entire offseason to install training camp to, really see what works, what doesn't, at its core, like, what are you hoping from this kind of revamped offense?
Yeah.
30-30.
There's obviously things that you adjust year to year, that you work through going back to offseason program and into training camp. And then as you get into training camp, maybe last week and certainly this week, you start to streamline what you're doing. And that's part of the conversations we're having now. You can't run everything you want to run in week 1. It's a long season. So you're trying to look at what your players do best. And then also, which is a big part of it, what matches up versus the opponent that you have that week. So those are all conversations right now.
All right, there you go. Kevin Stefanski from his Zoom with the media from earlier this morning. So there you go. Roster cut downs will be done by tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And then you said last week, early next week, that's your roster?
Yeah, probably, because what you're going to have is roster cut downs at 4 tomorrow. So that's the initial 53. Then everybody who's cut that's exposed to waivers can be claimed. So you can have a couple guys come in, like we claimed last year, Khalif Halasi at the 53-man cut down. So that would necessitate another cut. and then people who are cut there would then also be subject to waivers another day. Then you put your practice squad together, but you also could have guys on your team that you're going to put on IR with obviously the designation that they can return, that you're going to put on IR after the 53 that you could then move to IR, and then you sign one of those vested vets.
Right.
You tell a Shelby or a Mo, hey, your contract will same deal, come back, and then that happens. So yeah, by the team that you go take out there next Monday when you return, that's going to be the 53 that's going into week 1.
Yeah. All right, there you go. All right, coming up next, Jim Schwartz post-game on his defense, or rather in halftime, with some conversations about his defense. We'll get into that, among other things, coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, the preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. That number is 216-485-2000, or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. So this was Saturday night, courtesy of News 5. At halftime of the game, defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz at halftime.
You haven't heard this?
I've not, no.
Oh, you can buckle up.
All right, I'm ready. Go.
Coach Schwartz, as you get ready for the regular season now and you look back on all of training camp, what are you most pleased with in what you've seen from your defense?
I don't know. We haven't had all 11 guys on the field, even in practice, so it's hard to be pleased with anything right now.
Well, you think about last year and the way that this defense was able to set this tone. Once you do finally get all 11 these next few weeks, hopefully, what's the next big step this defense needs to take?
I don't know. I think we just got to find our own formula for this year. We talk about last year. I don't think we can just count on last year happening again. We have to take a mindset of going out and proving it again this year.
I will say this, like, it's a hard spot because, well, all of us that are you guys broadcasting the game or those of us observing them, whatever, like, we all are aware that these are kind of nonsense games. But if you're him, you're knee deep in the muck of it, and you're trying to coach up your guys in the moment for the second half of a game that's competitive and thrilling, and you're trying to do service to guys at the back end of the roster. And while we think of it the way we do, they're doing a job, and so he's not in the headspace to be able to answer that. The defense where they're at.
Well, he could have answered, but I mean, it was a very. I like
he's
that
not
about Jim
big
Schwartz.
Picture guy though. At halftime,
there's nothing to be happy about.
Game. Yeah, he's not. He's not.
I thought he did a good job because that could have been a rattler to come back with a reasonable question after that was good.
She kind of just rephrased the original.
Yes.
And just said, well, when you're healthy, what will that be like? I got to be honest with you. Like, NFL, last year doesn't mean anything.
No.
Like, it's college football, there's some carryover. And if you have, great teams stay great teams, good teams stay good teams. But, like, the idea that what we were last year as a defense is going to be where we're going to jump off to this year, yes, we have talent, but there was magic. There was a lot. We talked about this with the schedule, like how many clutch, crazy things had to happen for us to get to 11 games in the win column. So my hunch is that, like, you flushed last year and you're starting new.
Yeah, it's a new thing. I couldn't agree with that anymore. And I thought Myles Garrett on his sideline interview said something great. He's like, look, it doesn't matter what we were last year. He said we have to make sure we're every bit as good at the things we were good at last year, but we have to be a better defense on the road than we were a year ago. We've got to be better in the red zone where they were the 32nd ranked defense in the NFL. Yeah. So there's plenty of room for improvement. And I don't think anybody on this defense is resting on their laurels. I think they're a very confident bunch, and rightfully so. I think that there's a ton of talent on that side of the football. But this is not a group that is saying to themselves, okay, we've made it. We're just we just have to roll our helmets out there. You think you can just roll your helmets out in the National Football League? You're going to get a very rude awakening.
I would also say this, and I know it was something from the sidelines we had heard in Game 2 and in Game 3. Like, the effort from the defense at times lacked a little bit.
In this preseason?
And I know Coach Schwartz, Coach Tarver, Coach Lynch, Coach Bonda, all those guys were getting involved in like telling these guys, hey, you're playing for a roster spot. You're playing for a job in the National Football League.
You're playing for your football livelihood.
How many roster spots were available?
None, but staying on the practice squad is stay in the program. That's the goal.
But it's a different sell, isn't it? To say stay on the practice squad, audition for the rest of the league versus fighting to make this team. That's the realities of it. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying, like, when you are a good team, is motivating the preseason harder? Is there a reason teams like at the bottom of the roster? Because, like, the Rams don't play anybody. A lot of teams don't play anybody.
I think there were 8 quarterbacks that didn't play any preseason games this year.
Right. And it's like
that's a quarter of the league.
That's a quarter of the league. And you got the bottom of the roster that, like, on these good teams, we were bad for so long, and so there was no sure thing. The guys, you were fighting to be a starter going into the last week of the preseason. Sure. You were trying to find somebody somewhere else and plug them in, and maybe they could be in the 2 deep. Like, when the 2 deep is set, it's a different motivating factor.
Here's the thing, though. You could have been this year's Mahmoud Diabate. You could have been this year's Ronnie Hickman.
Yeah.
You could have been 2 years ago's DeAnthony Bell. Like, an undrafted free agent has made this team 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah.
And really, if 4 of them, because Halasi got claimed and made it. So I think there's plenty of reason to fight because, let me tell you something. While you get compensated nicely to be on a practice squad, you get an NFL salary. That is a big, big deal. The minimum now is what, high 600s?
Sure.
So there are plenty of reasons. And you got to stay in the league. You got to stay even. You got to stay on a practice squad. And with the elevation rules now, you're going to be, if you're on the practice squad and you can play special teams, for example, Winston Reed, let's say he's on our practice squad, he's going to get elevated at times to play special teams. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Zaire Mitchell-Payton, if he doesn't make the 53 but is on the practice squad, he's going to get elevated at times when we want to have 3 tight ends. That's what it's all about. I mean, motivation, I guess, amongst the top is not there because you're not many people aren't competing for a spot. But motivation, I think, for everybody else, that should be the same regardless of how good your team is.
The thing for Jim Schwartz that's going to be interesting this year is last year you were building a defense that you built into an elite defense. Now it's about maintaining. And
it's hard to do.
And then maintaining on and then building off the maintenance. That's kind of it. Like, we got to get back to where we have to maintain where we are, and then we have to get a little bit better. And that's a challenge. It's one thing to come in and have a quick reaction to a hire or to a new staff, whatever, but then can you keep it there? The great teams keep it there. The great defenses stay there year in and year out. There's a standard, and that's something that Jim Schwartz is trying to build here, and that will be his challenge this year, is maintaining what was done and then adding to it when there's availability for it. So
right. Let's go.
Yeah, indeed. We will
Listen, if you look historically, offenses carry season to season much more than defenses. It's very rare for the number one defense to be the number one defense 2 years in a row. It's just hard.
My guess is that's because great quarterbacks stay in one place. And
right.
So you can it's easier.
And I just think
defensively it's hard.
What you do well, there's always an answer. The rules are constantly evolving to help the offenses. It's just it's a challenge.
Yeah. All right, we'll go around the league. Coming up next, included, how many teams don't have a starting quarterback name? One of them is in our division. We will get to that coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Hey, it's Uncle Bo here for my friends at Jim Beam. What do sports and Jim Beam have in common? Both are better when enjoyed with others. So grab a bottle, gather your friends, and enjoy the game. Because with Jim Beam, you come as fans, and you leave as family. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2024 James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Drink smart. This is a very smart move. It was announced by Adam Schefter here. Sources: Cowboys and All-Pro wide receiver CeeDee Lamb reached an agreement today on a record 4-year, $136 million deal that will make him the second highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history, behind just Justin Jefferson, I believe.
Wide receiver record, $38 million signing bonus.
So he gets a bigger signing bonus than JJ, but the second biggest contract to Justin Jefferson. Obviously, we play the Cowboys week 1. What percentage chance did you have this not being done? I would like
Zero.
Like this was
100%.
That's why, you always hesitate, even discussing this stuff in the preseason, because you would wake me up at the opener. If he's not here, then that's a story.
You had hoped that it would be kind of like, if you remember those many years ago when Emmitt Smith held out, and he held out into the regular season, and the Cowboys were like, okay, yes, we see your value. Because they struggled,
right?
They struggled, yes.
And then it was was that 95 or 6? The Emmitt
it was
Smith
in that.
holdout?
It was right in the middle of their dominance,
kind of their run there. I can't remember if it was after the third Super Bowl with Switzer. It might have been 94. The year the Niners won it. I remember it vividly.
1993.
So the 93 season. So they won in 92 and 93. Niners in 94 and them again.
There's a common misperception that the Cowboys are likely to cave in Ezekiel. They're going back to they caved in 93 Emmitt Smith. They did not. Emmitt abandoned his demand for quarterback money after 2 regular season games, accepting an offer that made him the highest paid running back in football. The Cowboys played the first 2 games of the 93 season without Emmitt going 0-2, but they never backed down. Instead, Smith agreed to a deal that made him the highest paid running back in football at the time, but didn't pay him the quarterback money he wanted. Can you imagine the notion of a running back in the year 2024 being like, I'm not playing unless you give me quarterback money?
Saquon walking in.
Yeah.
I need $400 million.
Oh, well, then you aren't playing.
We all do, bud. We all do. And it's interesting because that just speaks how much. So this is 30 years later, and you think about that the highest paid non-quarterbacks are 2 wide receivers, and in those days, Emmitt Smith. That's how far the game has changed in 30 years. That Emmitt Smith went into thinking, I need to get quarterback money. I'm that important to the Dallas Cowboys. To now, running backs are lucky if they're in the 10 range. Meantime, wide receivers to the moon.
Emmitt Smith's contract that made him the highest paid running back in NFL history, 4 years, $13.5 million, including a $4 million signing bonus.
Yeah. But honestly, that's not too bad of a wide receiver or running back contract for now.
No, that'd be a solid backup.
Be all right.
Yeah,
solid backup money on that.
Complimentary back.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, though, there was a time when a team traded its entire draft to get a running back.
Yeah.
When the Vikings traded everything that helped build the Dallas Cowboys dynasty for a running back.
Yeah. That the one thing about the Herschel deal with the Vikings was they really thought they were one player away, and he was actually pretty good right away for them. Yeah. And it wasn't until later that you realized all they gave up. It was a far cry from this Carolina-Chicago deal, which if Bryce Young isn't sensational, that'll go leaps and bounds beyond the Walker deal as one of the worst trades in sport history, if that falls.
It's a good offseason to be a wide receiver. 11 of them getting monster contracts.
2 more still wanting them.
2 more.
Ayuk and Chase.
Yep.
Both waiting on deals from both of those. Chase was at Bengals camp practice today. I have not seen if he was participating or not. He's been at everything. He just hasn't participated for the Bengals.
I'm pretty sure Trent Richardson is the last running back that was ever traded for a first-round pick, because McCaffrey was a second, a third, and a fourth.
I mean, it would add up timeline-wise. Yeah. It would be about then when you stop doing it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Just not gonna get that done. There's still 4 left out there in terms of guys who are waiting on new situations. Brandon Ayuk with the 49ers, Trent Williams with the 49ers, Hassan Reddick with the Jets, and Jamar Chase with the Bengals.
What's going on with that?
What's going on with? Yeah, I mean,
with Reddick. I mean,
the Niners. I mean, they're go win the Super Bowl. I assume they get both those guys taken care of, but I don't know. What's Pedro saying?
everybody assumes that Ayuk is going to be there, and this is the time to do it. You saw CeeDee Lamb get it done because this is the 2 weeks to get ready. And my guess is that'll be the case there. I think Ayuk will get done. I'm just happy he's not going to the Steelers. Like, honestly, I don't care.
As long as it's
I
not
like
there.
for my dad, I like him to play for the Niners. But as long as he didn't go to the Steelers, I really didn't care that much about it, to be
You think
honest.
Pedro would wish the same of you?
No.
I like my son. I'd like him to go to the Browns. But
No.
if that can't happen, I'd like him to stay here.
No. No.
Hassan Reddick's been nowhere near the Jets. Jamar Chase is going to be an interesting one because I'm thinking that Jamar, is that the same draft as CD? Jamar Chase in the same draft as CD, or is he a year younger than CD
I
Lamb?
think he's a year younger than CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. So CeeDee Lamb's the same age as Justin Jefferson. He's in the Justin Jefferson draft?
I'm going to have to look now. So that would be the 2020.
He's either in the 2020 draft or the 2021 draft.
All right, 2020 NFL draft.
So that's coming out of the 19 season. That's when LSU had
Jamar
Burrow.
Chase was 5th in the 2021 draft.
Okay, so that's Chase.
CeeDee Lamb was 17th overall in 2020.
Okay, so he's in the Justin Jefferson draft.
And Justin Jefferson was 22nd. Wide receivers also selected in that draft. Henry Ruggs went 12th overall. Judy, 15th overall. Lamb, 17. Jalen Reagor, 21. Can you imagine if the Eagles just drafted Justin Jefferson? Justin Jefferson, 22.
Where were the Packers picking?
Ayuk, 25.
Okay.
The Packers picked Jordan Love, 26.
Okay, so they wouldn't have had, all these guys were off the board.
Patrick Queen went 28th. I mean, this was a loaded draft. Second round starts T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, DeAndre Swift, Xavier McKinney, Kyle Duggar are the first 5 picks of the second round.
That's crazy good.
Duggar's gotten paid. McKinley just got paid bigly. McKinney was, is he Green Bay's free agent or Minnesota's?
Yeah,
He was somebody
that
we played in the preseason, one of their big free agent draft picks. DeAndre Swift obviously is a stud. Pittman has been great. T. Higgins has been great.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous draft. Who went number 1? That's the Burrow draft.
By the way, keep going in the second
Burrow's
round.
number 1. That's Burrow, Tua, and Herbert.
That's Burrow, Chase Young, Okudah, Andrew Thomas, Tua, Herbert,
Okudah.
Derek Brown, Isaiah Simmons, C.J. Henderson, Jed, Becton, Ruggs, Wirf. A.J. Terrell, who just got paid, right, by Atlanta, was 16th. I mean, a lot of people from this draft have
That's
gotten
absurd talent.
paid. Listen to this second round.
Except for 2 giant misses early.
Well, both Buckeyes. And you would
yeah.
you would have argued that if you go into that draft and say who's the surest bet in this draft, people would have said Chase Young.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was the surest thing.
Second round in this draft also has Jonathan Taylor, Cole Kmet, Grant Delpit, Antoine Winfield Jr., Jalen Johnson, who's
Stud.
Trevon Diggs.
Good
Went
Lord.
back-to-back in the second round. What a draft by the Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb, Trevon Diggs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Jalen Hurts goes in the second round of this draft.
That's right, because everybody's like, how could you take him? Like, you
Right.
have Carson Wentz.
Right.
Not so fast.
Willie Gay
Can you
went in the
imagine?
second round. Jeremy Chin was in the second round of this draft.
You
This
imagine
was a
if-
good
if
draft.
Philly goes Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts.
This was a really good draft.
Yeah, it is.
You're paying those 2 at this point and no one else on that roster.
That's it. Surely you are. All right. As we continue around the league, presented by Leaf Filter, official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns, Deron Bland expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks after surgery to repair a stress fracture in his foot. That's the corner from the Cowboys. Their depth at corner is average at best, so there should be a way to feast if you can protect a little bit. Their front's real, but the back end you should be able to attack a little bit. What do we make out of Mike Tomlin not naming a starting quarterback until the end of the work week?
It's Russell Wilson. I don't know why I just think he thinks it's entertaining.
It seems like something like a college coach would do. I think Sharon Moore did that today at Michigan. Like he's acting like he doesn't know who the starter is. And Michigan doesn't open. I know they have Texas next week, but I don't think they open. I think they open with like Fresno State. Like just name a starter.
Come
dude.
on.
Like, come on. It's enough. No, it's obviously going to be Russell Wilson. I think even if Fields had played better, it would have been Russell Wilson. I think it's much easier to replace Wilson than it is to replace Fields if they struggle.
It was always Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, from the second, it was always Russell Wilson.
Yeah. So we'll see how that all goes. Juju Smith-Schuster is back with the Chiefs on a 1-year deal. That happened today. Fanatics refiling their lawsuit against Cardinals rookie wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. is expanding it to include fraud allegations against Marvin Harrison Sr. What in the hell is this about?
Have you seen this?
No.
I mean, I know this. I've been kind of paying attention to it from afar all summer. Do you have the details of it?
So, yeah, let me pull them up here. This was definitely like, this should have been dead. And
why is it not?
So I was talking to a guy from the Cardinals like 3 weeks ago, and his opinion was that this was done. Like they kind of had reached settlement and they were done.
Yeah. In the revised suit, which was filed Friday in New York State Supreme Court, Harrison Sr. was alleged he aided and abetted Harrison Jr.'s fraud on Fanatics. Claims the defendants in the case deliberately misled Fanatics into believing there was a binding contract between Harrison Jr., his company, and Fanatics, and that Harrison Jr. had signed that contract. The suit also claims Harrison Sr. further led Fanatics to believe that Harrison Jr. had signed the binding term sheet.
Oh, my God. Read the next one. The new allegations stem from 2 affidavits, one from Harrison Jr., one from Harrison Sr., filed on July 31st that said it was Harrison Sr., not Harrison Jr., who actually signed the binding term sheet that is at the center of the lawsuit. Both affidavits were written to be true under penalty of perjury.
So the allegation is that the Harrisons, in a way to have their cake and eat it too, had the old man sign the contract, not the kid? Is that
Why would they do that? Yeah. In the revised
suit.
This
is over peanuts too. Like, even if it's $1 million or something, like, what are we talking about?
I don't know. I mean, the fact that this is still going on and now it's expanding again leads me to believe that there's more to this.
I wonder what their end game was. What were they thinking that they were? Because I'm guessing this came from Senior. Junior's not coming up with this on his own.
No.
So what in Senior's past does he feel he was wronged or thought that he would have the knowledge to have a workaround that would benefit him and his kid to the point that it's worth all this?
He's trying to get – Harrison Jr. is saying that he never made it. I never did anything. It was not an agreement between Fanatics and me. I was never requested to, nor did I ever sign any document that personally obligated me to do anything concerning the binding term sheet.
Well, that would tell you that Harrison Sr. then or someone else forged his signature.
Well, yes, they both say that. Harrison Sr. admitted that.
Yeah. So what's the workaround, though? What's the end game?
I don't know. It doesn't
what
make
are they
any
trying
sense.
to do?
I guess Harrison Jr. didn't want to do it, but he was going to earn $1 million. Why wouldn't he? I don't understand.
Yeah.
With the Fanatics deal.
Yeah. So what's the – I don't understand the.
I don't get what they're doing. I don't understand it either.
I don't understand it.
No, other than Fanatics being angry they couldn't capitalize on Harrison Jr. stuff right away after the draft. But
as big of a company as that is, my God, they have a monopoly on buying sports merch in this country.
Correct.
It's to the point where you can buy from Dick's or them. That's it. Most of these teams have outsourced their stuff to Fanatics. You click on almost anybody's. They're all a Fanatics experience. You can't even buy directly from the schools anymore. So, like, the whole thing's through their engine.
Yep.
And they're worried about $1 million with Marvin
Harrison. They angered
Harrison.
the wrong people, clearly.
I don't know. They to me, it feels like they are pissed about whatever went down.
I would say Fanatics is going to win this because they're
going to win it.
They're going to set. They don't want some precedent that you can sign for something and then not
do it.
Oblige. So I'm guessing Fanatics wins this. As much financial might as the Harrisons have, it ain't Fanatics money.
Correct.
College football week 0 in the books. It was all pretty, honestly, it was pretty, I mean, again, I was connected to all of it, but every game ended, the Georgia Tech Florida State game ended on a last-second field goal. The Montana State New Mexico game ended on a walk-in touchdown, as both of them as time expired. And TCU is down double figures for much of their game on Saturday night and came back with a couple minutes left in the fourth to win that. So it was thrilling. I continue to – so the way that this is going to be last week will be week 1 in college football in the future. They'll just start a week earlier and get that in and have Labor Day will then be week 2. What that'll do is it'll backload their schedule a little bit and it'll keep them out of conflict with the NFL in January. So you're going to have a national championship game on a Monday, second Monday in January. You can play the semifinals on New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, and the rest of the playoff will take place in December. If they just move back a week, that solves that. I also thought it was pretty wild that ESPN didn't kind of just load the day with it. Yep. You have so many television partners like Georgia Tech, Florida State to start, play an SEC game at 3:30, play a Big 12 game at night or another ACC game at night. Like, You had the whole thing to yourself. I'm just surprised that they didn't try to play 3. You don't even have
Why
to play
would
the
they?
hits.
Yep.
You have to play massive hits, but
it was
something.
awesome.
It was
9 a.m. Dude,
oh God, it's so great.
We're having breakfast downstairs in the cafe. Who's one table over, losing his mind about Florida State? Jameis.
Yeah,
Jameis is squawking like a champ.
Not happy.
Not later on, but but the game ends at like noon, and I'm like, okay, what's on
now
next?
What?
And I'm like, oh, nothing. We're gonna do a studio show for an hour, and then turn it over to high school football. That's right in a storm delay in Florida.
Yeah, they missed it.
Okay, well, this is dumb.
I think they missed it. The Montana State New Mexico game, which I'm
Where was that
is
at?
a huge step down from Florida State Georgia Tech, was an FS1 game.
Oh,
so that was FS1, and then the primetime game was CBS Sports, and that was SMU and Nevada.
Yeah, they could have owned the day.
You could have trotted 3 of them out there pretty easily. You got enough television partners that you could have trotted 3 of them. It was so weird that they were all 3 on 3 different networks. You know, CBS Sports Network and FS1 kind of tertiary networks versus ESPN, and none of them tried to like build around the programming. It was just standalone games. You could have owned it, I think. But
you just had game day and then the game on ESPN.
Yeah, you had. Yeah, you think about all of this. Like this weekend in college football, they play Thursday night. I know there's a game Friday night. Then there's a huge slate of games on Saturday. A lot of big ones like Texas A&M, Notre Dame, and then Sunday night is USC and somebody Sunday night, and then the Monday nighters Florida State and Boston College. So like it's a good weekend for college football. Labor Day is. So just take a couple of those.
Sunday is USC LSU.
Oh, see, there's a great game.
And Monday is BC Florida State.
Yeah, so that's a really good slate. Take a couple of those and pop them in last weekend. Totally. By the way, I think the coaches would like it too because then you get 2 bye weeks. Here's the other thing that I thought was really funny, and this goes to like how college football media, it's going to take a while to react to get to where we are with the sport with the 12-team playoff. This was on ESPN's front page. It was there all weekend. Let me see if I can find it because I found it so funny. Come on. I know it's still there.
By the way, Jake Trotter with a big Ohio State story today.
He did. I saw that. Yeah, I did. Good job out of him. Oh, they pulled. Oh, no, here it is. Okay, here you go. This was all day on their front page on Saturday after the loss. What does FSU's loss mean for its college football playoff hopes? Nothing. 0. All they could do is
wrote it down, and I was like, after I typed it and after I printed it and looked at it, because it's on the paper.
You have it on the
sheet? I'm like,
yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, they could win the ACC and be fine.
Dude, they could lose twice more, still win the ACC and get a bye.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Nothing.
By the way.
I mean, I don't know how many people realize that, but there's a 12-team playoff. You win your league, you're in.
By the way.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere with that quarterback.
Well, he looked exactly like how he looked at Clemson. Like that's DJ Uiagalelei. He was the number 1 quarterback coming out of high school. 5-star kid at Clemson. He does not throw anything but checkdowns. He refuses to drive the ball down the field. He went to Oregon for a year and actually was pretty good at Oregon State rather, as the starting quarterback there. Played out his career and then has this extra year to go play at Florida State. But he looked exactly like the kid at Clemson.
It was weird though. On 4th downs when they had to throw it down the field, he actually made a couple of nice throws. But I don't know why.
Unwilling.
Why?
I don't know.
It's not fun.
Yeah. The only way you're getting paid as a quarterback is if you stretch the field.
Yeah, he just
or show the ability to stretch.
I don't know if he's just mistake adverse. His best game he ever played was as a true freshman. They went to Notre Dame and lost when he was at Clemson. Trevor Lawrence got hurt, and he started the game at Notre Dame and lost, but threw for like 400 yards. It was really his best game. So he played 3 full seasons at Clemson, 3 of them, which is crazy. And last year at Boise, even this, I thought he was better at. I mean, he's 2,600, 21 touchdowns, 7 picks at Oregon State. 2,500, 22 picks, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks at Oregon State from the year before. 60% completions. Yeah, it's just not much there. Yards and attempts, 6.86. It's just not there. 8.4 last year at Oregon State, so it was a little better, but they're not going to go anywhere with him. They're not.
No.
Yeah. That 9 o'clock kick is nice, though, huh?
Wasn't shabby.
No, that's the best part of the what.
It's pretty good. That side of it is very, very good. All right, we got a big day for our boy. We're going to preview that for you coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Valley Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. If a car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We have some roster movement, Dr. Z.
Indeed we do. The Browns have made the following roster moves, passing their physicals and thus being activated. DeAnthony Bell, Jack Conklin, Greg Newsome, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Jedrick Wills. That is great news there. And then waive. The Browns have already cut down 16 of their 90. Safety Tyler Coyle, guard Wyatt Davis, kicker Lucas Haversick, who did a good job kicking the football, cornerback Fayon Hicks, linebacker Landon Honeycutt, linebacker Caleb Johnson, guard Zach Johnson, defensive end Jeremiah Martin, tackle Roy Mbedeka, linebacker Marvin Moody, tackle Chim Okorafor, running back Aiden Robbins, running back Jacob Sailors, long snapper Rex Sunahara, defensive end Isaiah Thomas, and safety Chase Williams. No surprises amongst any of these. Isaiah Thomas, we knew he wasn't going to make the roster. I think they'd love to keep him on the practice squad, but that's the initial wave there of 16. So that puts the Browns at 74. They still have got to get down to 53.
There you go. All right. We'll have some projections on that
so
coming up shortly.
And just of the 7 people who started off either on the PUP list or the NFI list. 5 are back. Nick Chubb remains on the PUP list. Naheem Hines remains on the NFI list. And you feel like at this point, remember, he missed all of 23 with an accident suffered jet skiing.
Oh, that's right.
He's still not ready to go. That you wonder. I'm sure they'll give him an opportunity to come back and keep working, but it doesn't sound like that's anything that's going to be ready for week 1.
He was so fun to talk to when we got a chance to talk to him in the spring, but it's one of those things. How you doing? You ready for tomorrow?
Am I ready?
Yeah.
I'm quite ready.
Tomorrow your big day?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
This is a dream come true. You've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Quite literally a dream come true.
Watch the Blue Angels IMAX that's on Amazon Prime last night with the whole family.
Nice.
And everybody's excited and nervous. I'm
Nothing
pretty
to be nervous about.
I don't think so. I mean,
no,
nervous.
You're in the hands of the most capable people at doing that
on the planet.
On the planet.
That's right.
Like, it's kind of like if you've ever been in a situation where you like to go ride with like a race car driver in a car, you're good.
Yeah, they're good.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're good.
They know what they're doing.
They're good.
No. I'm excited about that. I just think it's going to be pretty wild to figure out how I feel from the G-forces. How that's going to go. But I picked up some of you got to really squeeze your muscles in your core down real hard and kind of breathe a little bit, try to keep that
Tom
blood
Cruise
up.
was doing that in Maverick quite a bit when he was in that. I'm excited for you. It's going to be awesome.
I think it's going to be cool. Amazing. And the weather looks good tomorrow, so I'm excited about that.
Air show's here this weekend.
So check it out.
It's all there. It's amazing. The air show's unbelievable. It's so cool. And my sister-in-law lives downtown, and she'll, like when they come and like she's like has this patio that kind of overlooks the lake a little bit, and so
she
like
gets to see it all, zipping by.
Yeah,
we'll tell her I'll.
You'll be waving. Yeah, zip through.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah. Modes reached out to me again. He's like, remember, you got to tell the guy. He said, you got to tell the guy. He's like, you're going to do great, have fun, and tell him you want them to do a split S.
Modes. Like, he's an airman.
He is an airman.
I mean, like this, I don't know. I don't know if you want that or,
a split S.
Do you want a split S?
Right now,
I feel like you
the
don't.
full S is a lot for me to handle in my life.
I wouldn't want to like taunt them. Because I think just the standard ride is going to be.
I don't think it's a taunting.
Ridiculous.
I don't think it's a taunting.
I think you're asking for a bit of a trick upgrade, maybe, is the way I perceive it.
The split S is an aerobatic maneuver and an air combat maneuver mostly used to disengage from combat. To execute a split S, the pilot half rolls his aircraft inverted and executes a descending half loop, resulting in a level flight in the opposite direction at lower altitude. So it doesn't look like.
So that sounds like the Top Gun.
Here's the animation here. And then he's going to roll, and then basically he rolls, and then you're turning back this way.
I gotcha.
That doesn't look too crazy.
Well, we'll see. We'll see when you're in the middle of it.
It's taught to be used in dogfighting when the opportunity has
Does he pass out first, or does he vomit first?
I don't think he does either. I think he stays lucid, and I think the food stays down. I never got nauseous at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's a supersonic roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
The
That's
split
what it feels
S
like.
being a descending maneuver means the pilot must ensure that it is started high enough to complete the half loop. The exact minimum altitude depends on factors like the aircraft speed, weight, and maneuverability. Misjudgments can arise from a lack of situational awareness or an error in reading instruments. In fact, there is a video in this of a U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds captain ejecting himself from an F-16 during an air show after he attempted a split S maneuver with insufficient altitude.
All right, in other words, Modes.
Nope.
We're good on the split S's.
We're good. Yeah.
I just need a little ride.
Yeah. No.
So that's all the kid wants.
No split S.
I
Get
feel
your
like
affairs in order, Dr. Z.
He's got to hydrate. The high tomorrow is 94 here.
Yeah, it's going to be brutal.
Like in that little cabin,
it's going to be
little
brutal.
direct sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely want to hydrate. I think you're going to be fine. I think it's going to be a time of your life. You've been wanting to do this your whole life.
Yeah. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a big win. Air show is always a big win. If you've not been,
go
home run. It's just fun.
The kid, you can go on board some of these aircraft, like the C-130s.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
I was trying to see what the weather is like this weekend. It's cooled down again, right? It's like in the 70s.
Yeah, it'll be around 80.
Okay.
Still, you take that. Next week is when it cools back down.
Oh, we're 80s really all the way. Yeah,
to be a
this
great
is going to be
Labor Day.
really hot all week, and then it should be a
little
pretty good
stormy
Labor Day.
Wednesday through Friday. But
Not Tuesday.
Not
tomorrow.
Tuesday.
No, you're
Tuesday's
nothing.
gonna be nice and hot.
Yeah, there you go. Going to be fun. I look forward to it.
Well,
going to be very fun. So you'll
how
join
about-
us from the tarmac tomorrow? Is that
Yeah.
the plan?
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Where
very
are
good.
you plugging into, or are you just calling in?
I'm gonna bring it with me, and if there's an ability to do that, I will. If not, I'll just call in. But
Perfect.
yes, I will be. I imagine I will have some availability. I'm going to be there for
you're gonna
almost
have some
5
time.
hours before I start flying.
Yeah, you're going to have some time. All right, we will predict and project our 53 with a little fact or fiction coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Get your Cleveland Browns single game tickets now for all the great matchups at Cleveland Browns Stadium this season. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/tickets or call 440-891-5050 to purchase today. Time for a little roster talk, a little fact or fiction style. Hello, Gibby.
Hi, boys.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hanging in.
Paulus, give me a little traveling music on this.
Give it.
There you go. Fact or fiction, the Browns will keep more defensive players than offensive players in the initial 53-man cutdown when it is announced at 4 p.m. tomorrow.
That's a fact, dog.
That's more defense than offense.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could be. It will be by a minimum of 2. It could be by as many as 4.
There you go.
Is there one position? Is there a bold prediction? Bold prediction?
Right, here.
For the defensive side of the football.
Hold on. Let me just give you my numbers. I'm just going to do it real fast. Cursory. 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 2 tight ends, 6 wide receivers, and that's 6, 8, 10. That's 14. And we'll go right now. Generous 10 offensive linemen. That's 24. Defense, you're going to have 5 defensive ends, 5 defensive tackles, 6 linebackers, 6 corners, 5 safeties, 10, 22, 27. So, whoops, you might have to go 9 offensive linemen, 23, 27. Or if the commissioner exempt list comes up, you could go 4 defensive tackles, which is 26 and 24.
Boom. Done. Next level's next.
Next.
Not so fast. Next.
Fact or fiction?
The Browns will keep 4 QBs on their 53-man roster. Obviously, I think you've just dispelled that.
Fiction.
That's fiction, brother.
Fiction, brother.
Will
try
they
to find a
trade
place
one
for Hundley
before
if
tomorrow
they
at 4?
can.
They can, but if
why
somebody Hundley's a free agent, so if he is released, he is free to go where he wants. If a team wants to guarantee that they will procure his services, then they could make a trade for him, and probably all it would take is.
By the way, I don't know if
7. Yeah.
given all the other news of the day in segment 1, I don't know if we mentioned defensive tackle Chris Williams going to the Bears. He looked pretty good. I was kind of sad to see him go.
We did mention
it.
And yes.
All true, yeah, but just the notion of just too much in the room.
Yeah.
So that's an example of how you get something out of it, and that's probably what you're trying to do with Hundley.
So there were a couple facts and fictions. Now we just have some
all works for free.
Outside of offensive tackle, the most concerning position on this roster from a depth perspective is blank.
Well, nothing's really concerning, but you haven't really been healthy at linebacker in a while. So that's, it's not the most important position on the defense, but you haven't seen Hicks in forever.
Fields back.
Yeah, so you're a little bit there. Denzel with the concussion stuff. But the corner room, I could argue, is the deepest of any on a short list. Depth-wise, is there anything else?
The running back, maybe, just because Foreman's a little nicked. Pierre's a little nicked.
I'm a little concerned that Foreman's gotten a couple injuries now.
Yeah,
but we need. The truth is, you probably don't need 17 games of Deontay Foreman. You need the right 6 to 8.
6 to 8, yeah.
Which would be to start the season.
Gotcha. Give me one bold prediction you think will happen with the Browns roster. Not a specific, doesn't have to be a specific name, but can be a number of guys in a position room.
The Browns will carry only 2 tight ends after historically carrying 4.
I think that's probably the only thing because, if you go back to, remember, we did this once, right at the start of camp. Didn't we say, let's do it now, the 50. I think one day we were sitting here in the summer, let's just do a 53 right now. Not much has changed.
No.
I think we had 47 of the 53 spots.
Yeah. So there just isn't. So in terms of bold, I don't think there's going to be anything bold. The tight end is the most bold you're going to get, baby.
That's right.
Do we make a big trade before Dallas week?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's nice. I think a lot of people are always dabbling in, that type of thought and talk because it's fun. It's a fun thing to talk about. But
that's where we are on a Monday here.
That's where we are.
I don't think that there will be a huge trade. I think I don't think there is that much bold. I think it's going to be pretty chalk.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. That's because you're a good team
because you're good.
and you've avoided catastrophic injury, and guys that needed to have work done have gotten that work done so that they will be ready now with 2 weeks to prepare for the season opener. It's great news. The fact that Dalvin and Greg and Jack and Jed are getting off the pup, that Hicks is coming back, that means you're going to have all 11 on defense that you wanted. We'll get Denzel back very soon. That's the most important thing.
I tell you one thing to watch for. As I've just been spending the last couple of weeks kind of going around the league, there are a handful of teams that could very easily off-ramp to a tank if it starts going bad, right? So I do think that you're going to see, and we've seen this in recent years, even a more active trade deadline. I think that's something to watch for, because there's a lot of scenarios where there's veteran guys looking for contracts or heading into the year, whether it's their walk year, where maybe you get maximum value out of them before letting them walk for compensatory. So I think watch that trade deadline. There's probably 6 to 7 teams that, if things don't go well early, could easily off-road into, hey, not the worst thing if we're bad.
Yes, and it's good. Congrats. Thanks to Andrew Barry. The trade deadline is a week further back than it had been historically.
Jeez.
It just needs to keep going back and back and back.
Yeah.
But
keep moving it back, man.
It should be week. When we get to an 18-game season, the trade deadline should be in between weeks 12 and 13.
That's exactly it. Two-thirds
of the way in, you can decide if you're in or not, and there it is.
Yeah, it's too soon, and so that's what's led to a lack of activity. But 1 week will make a difference, and then I think, then if you get it where it should be, then you're really talking.
Who's the one Browns player, you need to see get 100% healthy and return by the Dallas game? If there's one, with all these guys that are coming back and guys that have been nicked up, who's the one that has to be 100% for Dallas?
Give me one left tackle healthy. Because I think Denzel.
See, I make the argument here with Denzel.
But you're getting Newsome back. So even if Denzel – now, he's the best mirror corner in the league. But even if he doesn't play, you're still really good at corner. Whereas if Jed or Jack isn't healthy, or if neither of them are 100% healthy, then that step is a big one. So we've seen that all camp. That, to me, is the one spot that if you could have your druthers, I'd want that one, at least one of those guys 100% for Dallas, because they're going to come after you.
They are going to come after you. I mean, that's obviously the most important thing. I would say on the other side, the guy that I'd like to see at 100%, just because he plays such a big role given his position, is Hicks. And I believe that he is 100%. But he's going to be the Mike linebacker. He's next to JOK. He's the one who's setting the defense, getting everybody lined up. He's kind of the quarterback of the defense and knows the defense well, but you just want to see him out there, doing it. And I think it'll be great to see him actually get the opportunity to do just that.
Well, my last question is null and void now. Fact or fiction, CeeDee Lamb will be suited up.
So you jinxed it. This is why he signed.
That's fine.
You
can blame me.
You're just – Jarrah is not going to he's not going to not get that deal done.
Yeah.
So, you're left with Ayuk being the most prominent. The Bengals are not – Jamar Chase has had a really fun little sit-in. The Bengals are not going to redo him. That's just not the way they do business. And so they don't have to. He's under contract. They'll redo him in the offseason. I entered Jamar in a position where he's like, man, pay me now before I get dinged up or something happens. Like what the Vikings paid Jefferson despite him missing a lot of time in the year before they paid him. I don't know that the Bengals will do that. They typically don't operate that way.
Yep.
So that's kind of the only thing out there that you're waiting on a little bit is that side of it. So should we do it? Do you want to go through the 53?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah, 5 minutes. Rapid
we got time.
fire.
We can do it easy.
No, we do it easy. Quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, DTR. Running backs, Jerome Ford, Deontay Foreman, Pierre Strong. Tight ends, David Njoku, Jordan Akins. Wide receivers, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, David Bell, Jamari Thrash. Offensive linemen, if we're doing 9, Jed Wills, Jack Conklin, Joel Bitonio, Ethan Posick, Wyatt Teller, DeJuan Jones. That's 6. That gives you 3 backups. James Hudson,
Zinter.
Nick Harris, Zach Zinter. Defensive ends, Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, Alex Wright, Obo Okoronkwo, and Isaiah McGuire. Defensive tackles, Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, Quentin Jefferson, Mo Hurst, Mike Hall Jr. But question mark.
Question mark
be
on Mike, yeah.
Linebackers. If we're at 6 here, the 6 linebackers, my guess, Jordan Hicks, J.O.K., Tony Fields, Mahmoud Diabate, Devin Bush, Bookie Watson. Defense corners, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, MJ Emerson, Cam Mitchell, Khalif Halasi, and I'm going to say Justin Hardy for now. And defense safeties, we don't know the status of Rodney Hickman, but I'm assuming he's going to be okay for the season. Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit, Rodney McLeod, DeAnthony Bell, and Ronnie Hickman. And there you go.
There you go.
And Hewlett, Charlie Hewlett, Corey Bojorquez, and Dustin Hopkins.
Print it. There you go, kids.
So if you're saying what aren't you 100% sure on?
Z, what aren't you 100% sure on?
6th corner.
This is what I'm saying.
6th linebacker, 5th defensive tackle.
Yeah. This is what this last year was similar to this.
Yeah.
Not even quite to this extent where
Yep.
there's like one spot. It was more last year. There was a couple of spots.
Yeah.
But it's really like there were 4 or 5 spots that were up for grabs.
Yep.
That's it in camp. Everything else was locked in. So I think that feeds into why you just want to get to the opener. Because folks, this is the reality of having a talented team and a good team, is there's not that much uncertainty. Most of it's taken care of. There really was no camp drama in terms of like working out a contract extension. Like all of that stuff was sorted out.
Yep.
And so now, I mean, they did the Amari thing right away. That was done right away. Like it didn't hang over anything. Like they don't let it get to the point where there's acrimony.
No, they do
They're
not.
very professional. They handle it early, and so you don't have things to worry about. And that's when you just did that, and you did it in fast pace, and then you did it. We had you name all the names, and you still do it, and it's 1 or 2 guys out of 53.
Not that dissimilar to what it would have been had I done this the day after the draft ended.
I would say very. I mean, it's a couple of guys. It's 48 of the 53 were known.
Justin Hardy, Tony Brown, Miles Harden are going for 1 spot, right? I don't know.
Offensively, there's nothing.
No, I mean,
especially with the Whippler injury.
You know, did David Bell do enough? But it just feels like when you talk to people here, they love him so much that there's no way he's not going to be on the team.
No, there just isn't that much. There's not much movement. It just kind of is. It's where it is, and now it's just about getting out there and playing.
Yep.
So you got 3 practices this week. Then they'll have the weekend off. They'll reconvene on Monday.
And away we go, brother.
Away we go on a long.
It's
long. It's crazy. The
By the way, the first week of the season is unbelievable.
Well, they play the hits. I mean, you get Kansas City, Baltimore Thursday, and then Packers and Eagles on Friday night.
Hold on.
Our game in the late afternoon. Detroit Rams Sunday night. What? Yep.
Detroit Rams.
Yeah.
And then
what's Monday?
Jets Niners.
Jets Niners is Monday
in San Francisco.
Yeah, they're playing the hits.
I mean, you have.
It's landing a haymaker. It's one bomb. After
1:00 p.m. You've got Steelers Falcons. You've got Texans Colts and Jags Dolphins. So it's not really
the 1:00 isn't much.
Guess the spread is back.
Oh baby,
scores.
Oh baby,
time to put people through college again.
Time to do it. All these winning seasons in a row. It's got to end sometime. Maybe this is it. So much more to come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, buddy, I wish you luck. I'm excited for
Thank
you.
you. We'll talk tomorrow.
I know, but it's like it's a big night of sleep for you.
Yeah, I
Probably
think
turn in early.
I will turn in early. I think tonight I got to go.
Avoid the distractions. They're plentiful out there.
I think I got to go. Yeah, I think tonight got to be no booze.
No.
Stay hydrated.
Hydrate
Keep
up.
all my faculties
Well,
about me.
Lock in.
Keep away from the kid.
That's not his.
That's not his style.
That's not his. Right. That's not his.
Or vice.
Vice of choice.
I'm more-
Right. He's not worried about.
He's fine on that.
booze.
No, that's
The cook, maybe.
Cook.
Cook
Yeah,
can
now
take
the
you
cook.
down roads you
Yeah,
don't
the
wanna
cook.
be
The
in.
cook might. Yes, for sure.
Gray podes striding around. Very
1
good.
minute, 1 minute.
All right, look, it's heading into a holiday week. We should
No
have
split S.
No split S. Yeah, don't do that. Be safe. Tomorrow by 4:00, rosters have to be at least temporarily locked in, so we're going to have a lot of that news for you tomorrow. Z will join us from the tarmac of his Blue Angels experience as well. I will wear my Blue Angels hoodie to pay homage.
I need to get
to
one.
you. They had it. Navy wore them one year, and I picked it up on Fanatics.
I think I'm gonna have to wear. I think I'm gonna go.
Their colors are perfect. Like it's
I want
really
it.
awesome.
Yeah. But I think I'm gonna wear my navy quarter zip.
Yeah, there you
but
go.
I think I have to wear pants. I don't think I can wear
You have to wear
shorts.
a pant,
So I'm
yeah.
gonna wear like Lulu pants. They said loose but
Yeah.
comfortable.
You're good. You're good. You're safe. You're safe, pal. You have that to look forward to, which is very, very nice. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.